Looks like we're live.
Is there any volume out there? Can people hear us? Can you see us? Things are good.
We got 6 folks on the video already. Justin Walker says he's here. Fantastic. Trying something new this evening. New camera, new lights, new streaming service. So you'll see there's a little duck. Or is that? Duck's up in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, you said new mic.
New mic. Yeah. So
different lighting.
Hopefully the audio video works for this evening. But for the folks that are just joining us for the first time, welcome to the inaugural Smoking Oak.
First one, Smoking Oak.
The kickoff.
Very excited. It was quite a 3-week process to get here.
Go to 3 week. You're supposed to sell it like it was like 3 years or something.
No, I don't think anybody's going to believe that.
Working on this for a decade.
No. Well, it's I don't know. It took a bit. It seemed like a bit. Did that intro pop up for anybody? Did you guys get to see that?
Hopefully, yeah.
The intro took a while. The logo took a while.
Yeah.
I know you've been spending quite a bit of time trying to figure this whole
behind the scenes out. The folks don't see this. Like if I keep looking down, it's because there's a laptop underneath the table here. And we can see all the comments. And so the fiasco that we've had over previous live streams of trying to watch with phones, and that's solved. Problem solved.
It should be, yeah, absolutely. This is
technology. We got it figured.
Just we hope we
just had to do this.
So just spend all solved with money.
Yeah.
Everything is solved with money.
What Chad says that intro was pretty cool. Yeah,
so Chad saw it. That's cool.
You had that custom made, right? That was.
Yeah, we did. We got those. We got the intros done, and we got the logo done. The logo thing was amazing. Where you just give somebody a rough, what do you call it? A rough synopsis of what you want done, and yeah, they came up with that first, right off the bat.
Really, really quick and simple. So, like almost nailed it the first. Like the draft drawing was like out of this world.
Yeah, we had an idea what we wanted. I didn't think somebody else would have just nailed it.
Yeah, that's gonna be like a mind reader, hey?
That was good. So
no, it's not the truth.
Yeah, we had sent him a picture of the study here, that's and right, just a quick shout of what we do, and yeah, they put that all together for us right away. So
nailed it,
absolutely.
There you go. What are we talking about this evening?
So when we did the second last poll, Bones Lund, one of the guys that watches, he wanted to talk about stacking enterprises. So once your farm is established, once your business is established and things are going, how much can you add on top of it?
Yeah.
And when you're on a farm, on a hobby farm, when you're homesteading, it's pretty much limitless what you can do.
Oh, totally.
And if you're fortunate enough to actually have a skill or a trade, I mean, you can apply that too, working right off of your farm. So
yeah,
we got
we've done live streams that like tie into that hard, right? Like we've done stuff on time management, passive income, all of that.
Yeah,
this kind of brings it together.
Some of I was trying to look back at the notes we had made on time management, and some of those paragraphs tied right into the initial steps of stacking enterprises. If you first, you got to figure out if you have the time.
Yeah.
You got to figure out why do you even want to do this? If it's purely money, or if it's a little bit of personal growth, or it's just something else. And then you can go from there. Mm-hmm. I generally assume most things are have a monetary underlay.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Verlin says pretty snappy. Verlin, actually, we were just talking today about molasses. So.
Oh yeah. Well, if you didn't get a tie though, we're all wearing ties. I told you, get a tie. Everybody should have a tie on.
Tie and a drink.
Tie and a drink. Yeah, absolutely. What are we drinking to? What are we smoking?
Well, I got something special for smokes, but maybe we should pour one first.
We can pour one up, yeah. What we're gonna have, you can
the folks home.
You're allowed to have ice with this too. So this is Aberlour 12-year, and it's from
Speyside. Eh?
It's from Speyside. That's one of the regions. I didn't even realize this. There's only like 6 regions in Scotland: the Lowlands, the Highlands, the Islands, and Spey is northwest.
Yeah,
in between while the Highland kind of wraps all the way around it. So it's I got this stuff written here.
This is somewhere between where the whiskey's really mild and where it's really peaty, and in between those regions,
okay,
that's where they do all the stuff with the sherry casks. And stuff,
Yeah.
right?
So what? So this is about 5. I believe it was about 5 miles up the road from the Balvenie Distillery, which is what we had last time. It's now the Dalmore. I think we had that the time before that. That's in the Highlands of Scotland. So it's a different kind altogether. This distillery built in 1879, and it's built where the Burn stream runs into the Spey River, and they actually get the water out of the Burn stream to make all of this.
It's funny because a burn is it's the Scottish or Gaelic word for stream.
Yeah, yeah.
So, little language lesson for everybody there too.
It is so, yes.
May I pour you one?
Absolutely.
Do you want ice?
I'm gonna have an ice cube. We also got top shelf ice
There's
cubes.
something special.
These ice cubes. Well, there's various shapes. That was on the floor.
That one's a burner.
Ice is slippery too.
Who'd have thought?
I'm gonna put one of these ginormous bricks in here.
Is it gonna fit? Oh,
We're striking out on the ice. I can't get it out now.
can't get it out. Let's have a look. Oh, mine went in. Yours is bigger than mine.
It's
not
not.
the first
It's
time I've
not
heard
gonna. It's not gonna make it. It doesn't touch the bottom. I'm not doing it.
All right. Well, you pour some whiskey over it. It'll glide
You
right
think
in
it'll
there.
work?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be smacking me in the face when I'm trying to drink it.
You got dental, right?
No, no, not until what the NDP gets that coming for us poor folk. This
I gotta pour you lots because otherwise it won't even touch the ice.
that's what I had said. Yeah.
Yeah.
This distillery produces 3.5 million liters a year, making it
No way.
in the top for distilleries, top producing distilleries.
So who makes the most?
I didn't even get into that.
Oh.
I know these guys were only in the top. They didn't say they were second, third.
Have a smell of that.
So
Very fruity. Apples? Apple? As I'm getting apples?
yeah. Vanilla.
These folks, you could be making this crap up. Who knows? But
Well, we could be, but we actually do a bit of research before we start these things.
I think it's apples. I think it's apples. Yeah, vanilla. I could see that. What else? What did they say on the back? I think it was on the.
Well, I did look up the flavor profile on these things. You're supposed to be getting cinnamon, raisin, Christmas cake, and of course oak. So single malt. Most of these are single malt, which means barley and water. It means aged minimum 3 years in an oak barrel, and it means from the same distillery.
Yeah.
So in the past, they used to go from distillery to distillery, and they still do, I guess, for your blended scotches. But single
Sure.
is from the same one. The Aberlour, like the Dalmore, they use Oloroso sherry casks. That's what gives it its red color, and American oak that held.
Like a bourbon barrel?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Interesting.
And cool things about James Fleming, who built this, he actually built a bridge across the Spey River out of the kindness of his heart when a ferry capsized. They call it the Penny Bridge, costs a penny to cross.
Like
So
you get paid.
But he put that in his will. He earmarked 500 pounds for that in 1898 or something to build this bridge.
That's about 800 grand in modern money.
Oh, well, it was amazing just reading that. He had quite a thing in his will about, if you can't, and it was funny when I got into this rabbit hole, basically the counselor of the area wouldn't give them the land to build the bridge.
Yeah. Oh,
And he had it in his will, and maybe they're just tough people to deal with. And he said, if this can't be done, then just put the money back into my estate and dissolve it that way.
Yeah.
But anyways, he created this bridge. They call it the Penny Bridge. I think the real name is maybe the Victoria Bridge. I didn't even write that down. But quite a philanthropist, quite an upstanding guy. When I zoomed in on Google Earth, there, the Fleming Hospital and stuff in the town of Aberlour. So, very obviously well-liked individual.
Right uptown.
Absolutely. They also dump a bottle of this in the river, in the Spey River, to mark salmon fishing season every year. So
Just a bottle
they
of
dump a
whiskey.
bottle of 12-year-old Aberlour in the river. Good
So
Mark.
they say dilution is the solution. So
It's
I've
Mark
heard.
fishing season.
See, look, it worked.
It did work.
Look at that.
So
Wow, that seems like an awful lot of whiskey. Here.
absolutely.
Cheers. Mm. Yeah, that could be dangerously good also.
Yeah, that is good. I was excited when I read the flavor profile of Christmas cake. Because
Christmas cake. Oh, yeah.
that's a really an acquired
Do you
taste.
like Christmas cake?
I do. Yeah. It's a lot of people don't. They just right. They don't.
Were we separated at birth? Because I like a lot of the same things, and I yeah, when Christmas cake comes around, I'm a fiend for Christmas cake. Like I'll just go after it. My mother-in-law always makes me one special just for me. Yeah.
Well, save me a slice because I don't know anybody that makes it anymore.
Let's see if I can get you a whole Christmas cake.
Yeah, maybe. Eh?
Smoking this evening. Who else we got online there? We got Justin Walker. Damon's on. Just saw the notification. Just watching land rolling. Oh, that's good. Good. We're about as good as I get tonight on the way home from town. Oh, that's okay. Here we have this evening. Wow. Is a Cohiba Esplendido. A colleague of mine was able to get these on a recent trip somewhere hotter than here. Say that.
One of those guys.
Don't have to go far. It was more the Medicine Hat. Let's just say that. But anyways, yeah, some history on this cigar. So the Cohiba itself was created in 1966 for the well-known Fidel Castro himself. And you wouldn't actually see a Cohiba outside of Cuba, except the ones that were gifted for heads of state. Like they'd give it to the prime minister, or they'd give it to the president of a country, or kings, queens, that kind of thing. It wasn't until I think it was like 1982 when the Cohiba became marketable, like on the public market, right? And then it was somewhere in the 1989, 1990s, somewhere that Cohiba released the Robusto, the Exquisito, and the Esplendido. And so this one here is a 7-inch, 47 ring gauge cigar, and they're very hard to come by in Canada. Like you can't. Like if you look online, they're like $85 to $90,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't get one. So
Again,
they're essentially priced.
If you were lucky enough to find one in a cigar shop, I think they're like $100.
Yeah, they're right up there. So the guy that bought them for me, I said I'll pay you, and then he said no, like you're good, and then I kind of feel bad because I don't know what he paid for them down there, but I know they're super expensive here. So
yeah, they are not cheap. So
yeah, but as far as the flavor profile, I couldn't actually find much information other than to say they were smooth and spicy. So it'll be kind of an interesting adventure, so to speak, as we work our way through this.
When I was in Cuba, and I always thought cigars were a fancy, cool thing. And everybody, when you're told for some odd reason, bring them home, stick them in the freezer, right?
Oh,
everybody
sacrilege!
Everybody's told that though. Everybody does that. And I'm just trying to think back. We were in Cuba for Christmas maybe 7 years ago, and we did the same thing. We stuck them in the freezer. That is not the proper thing to do. If you're going to enjoy a cigar, I highly suggest investing in some sort of a humidor, because this still smells like Cuba. It does not smell like the freezer.
We think this is worth $100. This right here, this is $100. This is half the price of the humidor.
Yeah.
For just one of these. So you bring a pack of these home, you chuck them in the freezer, and you destroy them. That's not good. You certainly don't want to leave them, on the shelf in your living room either, because they get too warm and the humidity's not right, and you can hatch tobacco beetles, and they'll just chew the heck out of your cigars, and that'll be a disappointment too. Cut good?
Oh yeah.
Draw check. Toast the edge. So we've been doing this like every couple of weeks. We had a little bit of a break there Life kind of gets in the way from time to time. But what have you been working on?
What has Robin been working on? I have been marketing some grain unsuccessfully. The grain market is totally ridiculous. So I was very impressed. I sold some for $26.44 a bushel, record high price. I got a message yesterday for August, $27.90.
Really?
So individuals who think that grain is going down, I don't know when. As far as who's going to pay the bills, and this is globally, I don't understand it. I don't know what countries are excited about paying these high prices. I do not know. I was joking with another guy about wheat being $15 a bushel, and about 3 days ago it was $15.07.
Isn't that something?
So
what's a barrel of oil now? 125 bucks?
Your department. I think I joked with you yesterday that it was 120, but
$9 gas, like unbelievable.
Although that was one thing I was impressed with is we filled up our tanks, and I think we got $1.03 for clear gas.
Really? That's impressive.
And I think $1.27 for diesel.
Because I was in Calgary the other day, and it was $1.57 or $1.60, something like that. So even there, it's expensive, right in cowboy country.
Wow. Do you think those guys would donate some of the fuel to themselves, right? Some of those big wigs. That is a fine cigar.
Probably too busy paying expense accounts.
Yeah, for those odd individuals there might have been
some scotch partaken in the other day. Anyway, so new venture, new channel, new venture. Are we changing pace? What are we going to talk about? We're talking obviously stacking enterprises today, but this gets us a little bit out of the realm of PG, hey?
It does.
We can speak a little more freely.
It's going to be, yeah, we're going to be able to do, well, there's really no topics now that are going to be off limits. So.
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Everybody's talking about that.
Everybody. Even I had to watch a little bit of the deposition.
Yeah.
Totally classless in the upper class, eh?
It's a farce. It's a comedy of errors.
It's totally amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, side note. As you know, I am an avid collector of literature. While I was on my way to Calgary the other day, stopped by a thrift store, paid good money. First edition Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurdy. I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. I mean, Lonesome Dove was only written in like 1985, so it's not super old. Like I have books here that are 120, 130 years old on the top shelf. But I flipped this one open, right on the inside, Calgary Public Library. It's got a million set of eyes, touch it. That's pretty cool. It's got a lot of history. Damage noted. And I thought, well, maybe it's just this water staining in here and a little bit of stuff on the paperback. But then I flipped in. And I couldn't believe it when I got to this. To the dedication here. From Maureen, Anyway, so one patron of the library took it upon themselves to add a preface to the book. Brutal, morbid, far-fetched, vulgar, crude, not believable.
Oh, that was their take on the book.
Their take on the book. So now you know what you're in for with the rest of the show, I guess. But so that's my little prize for my trip to Calgary. So
that's hilarious.
Pretty excited about that. I mean, that's essentially a modern, well, not even a modern day, but somewhat of a retelling of the Odyssey, right? The Western world, right? So it's considered one of the best Western ever written. So excited to read it. I've watched the show. Never set eyes on the book.
A book that thick, I think, would probably take me 25 years to read.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I would have forgot the first page by the time I got back to the bottom of it. So
then you just start again.
Things for me aren't so good. What about cups? Do we have another set of cups?
There's one more set of cups.
We may as well. We're probably going to get something different happening now that we got a new channel.
Yeah.
So we get those out and hawk those or what?
Sure. I'll grab a set.
Did you did you get a hold of who won last time? Who won last time? Alberta
Yeah, there
Boy.
was Alberta Boy 74.
Did you get a hold of him?
There was, yeah, I've got addresses for everybody. Everything's in the mail. It'll be snail mail, of course, but so it's going to take a while to get there. But that's Canada Post for you. Oh, well, I think the folks that are watching, I don't know how many folks we got on 5 right now, but just about everybody that's. Have you guys looked into Starlink yet? Yes, I looked at Starlink the other day. A couple of my close friends have got Starlink, and you're seeing 200-300 megabytes per second. For a download speed, and I don't know what the upload speed was, but it blew whatever we have completely out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was $180 a month. But the setup cost is $800. So I mean that's a bit of a pill to swallow right off the get-go.
Absolutely.
But I mean we're already paying close to $100. So for $40 more, if you can get over with that initial investment, it is actually pretty cool. I've been kind of just waiting, biding my time, thinking, once the allure, I guess, wears off, will the price point come down? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I would sure hope so. For the equipment, right? Maybe not for the monthly subscription, but
I know. Is that Justin that said that? I know Justin has it, and I wasn't actually that impressed by the upload speed that he showed me when he did his speed test. I mean, download speed was 100 and some.
Yeah, I mean, my upload right now is 1.5 to 2, so
it was more than that.
It's brutal, We've got some comments here. Chad, mind blowing the crap those celebrities do, and thought the book was better than the movie. Yeah, I'm really hoping so. That's usually the case, right? The book is, there's a lot more to the book than usually what's in the movie. And then they have Starlink. So what? Where do you want to start?
Where we're going to start? Well, I've got the bit that I put together was wondering. So when you look into stacking enterprises, you got to realize if it's even possible. So the first thing you need to do is find out if this is a purely financial gain, like if you're looking to just generate income basically at all costs, or if it's something that you're already passionate about doing, maybe something you're already doing and just looking to monetize. There's going to be a big difference with that.
Absolutely.
I assume everything's about money, but this is going to be important.
I think that's the point of it.
When you try to figure this out, if it's purely about money, you may not have the dedication to weather the ups and downs of getting this off the ground. If you just want to cash flow something instantly, and you get 3 or 4 sales in the first week, and you're thinking, wow, this is, and then a lull for 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months, it's going to take the wind out of your sails.
For sure it will, yeah.
If this was a hobby you had that you were doing anyways, and you just thought, well, I wonder if people would pay me to do this, that 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 weeks where you're not counting anything happening is going to be irrelevant. You're going to keep doing it because you like it.
Maybe if you've got an existing waste stream that you can turn into a revenue source, that if you're already doing the work and you're already spending the time, you just need to change 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
Might be a viable option.
Things that are enjoyable hobbies, when they don't turn out, it's not a setback, like something that you thought was just going to be something that you've stretched out to do that you weren't already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get those figured out, then you need to do a time assessment. And this was back in our time management live stream. We had a whole topic on time assessments.
Yeah.
Figure out how much time do you actually have,
and how much you're wasting,
and how much you're wasting. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to look over the fence, myself included, and we think, well, I could do that. Right? When your neighbor's doing, restoring cars, or he's welding, or whatever, you think, well, I could do that. Well, if you actually sit down and figure out your skill set and figure out your extra time, maybe you can't. Maybe it's not even something you can do.
No, that's right.
So you have to really figure out the time management, and the time assessment is really important, because if you're going to start into something having no idea how much extra time you have and how much time this is going to take. And I would say you're behind the 8 ball right at the start.
The time to learn the skill and then to actually undergo the enterprise, right? So I'm no good at keeping the ash on these cigars. Just I always think I'm going to get it on my pants.
These are mighty fine though.
That's very smooth.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was a little smaller ring gauge than those chisel.
But it stays a little lot better.
It does.
Yeah. Like I think a guy could power through this in an hour if you really if you really put your mind to it. Be burning my tongue in 45 minutes here.
Yeah. So, and then I got written here, you don't want to assume that all of your time, when you do your time assessment, you don't want to assume that all of your time is free time. You don't want to assume it's all unproductive.
Yeah, you're probably already doing something with your time, right?
Well, and you had said it in one of your YouTube videos on your channel. If you don't take time for your mental health, you will be forced to make time for your mental illness.
Yeah.
So not all the sitting on the porch in the evening looking at the sunset, that's not wasted time.
Free time isn't free, right?
Absolutely not. When you're doing this,
yeah.
And you don't want to instantly think, well, I had 25 minutes last night where I was just sitting there. Maybe maybe that was 25 minutes. You could have been doing something else, but maybe that was 25 minutes that you didn't have to spare.
No,
maybe that's what that 25 minutes was for.
25 minutes, you need to recharge your battery, get your head right, so that the next day you're not just a raging lunatic, right?
So once you've got this all figured out, you've done a time assessment, you know how much time you need for yourself and how much time you need for your family, how much time you need for your operation, and you get figured into how much time you have for this extra enterprise that you want. Then you can build a business plan to go forward with it. If you have almost no time for it, the financial aspect in this business plan is going to be a lot higher than if you have a lot of time for it.
Yeah, understand what you have, then understand what it takes before you engage it, right?
And if it's something that is just purely to offset some bills, you're not passionate about it, you can do it, but you know maybe you don't like it, maybe that has to be figured out.
Yeah.
Because something like that is going to take time because you already aren't that passionate about it. So it's going to actually take time.
Well, and it might take time from things that you are passionate about that are legitimate revenue streams. You know, and the last thing you want to do is start trying to generate income and have it basically take groceries right out of your fridge.
Yeah.
It's not going to be, so that's not going to work. But I think the whole premise with Stack Enterprises is, at minimum to add that revenue stream, right? And make it sustainable within the footprint of, I mentioned before, would be waste streams, right? So if you have a byproduct of something that you're already doing, say, like we've talked lots about rotational grazing, right? So if I run the cows through a field and they leave 25 or 30% of the grazable grass there, it's just going to mature and die and be unusable. But if I can then rotate a second species through there that'll follow them, well, then I've basically made use of a revenue or of a waste stream and created revenue out of it. You have to be smart about that and not run the sheep before the cows. You run the sheep before the cows, and then the cows won't touch the grass, and that's just a complete waste of venture. But you can basically take something that's the scraps, turn it into a marketable product, and have a profit come off of it, right? So. And that's like we've mentioned in other live streams too, like that concept of the first aid mentality, right? Control the bleeding first, right? Understand where you're hemorrhaging time, understand where you're hemorrhaging money before you add any more layers, right? Understand what your overhead is. A lot of folks, they look at overhead and they think, well, this is a fixed, overhead is just a fixed, this is what stuff costs, right? But oftentimes that's that's not the case. That's what, somebody might send you a bill, but that doesn't mean that you can't shop around and get something for a better price, whatever you do. You guys do this with chemical, different products, right? Like that, right?
Absolutely.
So a fixed cost is never really a fixed cost. So you've got to put in some work to find better alternatives. And sometimes it is the case, right? If you use a certain chemical, there's only one supplier, you're kind of hung there, but that's not everything, right? And so there could be some unexplored opportunities for improvement, and you really just want to free up and then reallocate whatever that capital is for some higher value, alternative ventures, right? Cool.
Did you have a estimated time to finish on these cigars?
I didn't, but I mean, if I'm looking at that, I'm thinking I've probably plowed an inch off the top of that already.
Already knocked $15 off of her.
Yeah, took the GST off.
In what?
And the PST.
30 minutes.
30 minutes it's already been. Yeah. Yeah. The next thing, I don't know, so you've looked at your fixed costs, you've looked at your waste streams, and then I think what a lot of people do with stacking enterprises, they want to add production, but maybe what they need to do is add profit, because if they're not getting the right dollar for what they're already selling, well, they're just going to not get the right dollar for more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So companies like Costco, Walmart, they make billions of dollars of profit on volume sales. They're large enough they can do that. For the mom and pop, for the family farm, for the small business, whatever, to try and make it on volume sales and have so much waste coming out the door. We can't just ship everything back to our suppliers and say, the customer returned this, because they're just going to tell you to eat your shorts, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to eat that, right? So that doesn't work. So until you're absolutely massive, right? So it kind of comes with the chance that there's an incredible amount of waste. So you want to focus on lowering your input costs. Now, what does that mean? So you can add resources to creating efficiency, but your biggest cost typically is labor or time, right? So that's what you need to trim. So that's where the time management evaluation comes in, right? Understand what you're spending time on, understand what you're wasting time on. If you can reorganize how things are done, re-engineer the structure. We talked about this before in permaculture principles, designing your yard site so that you're done in zones. So the things I need to visit are boom, boom, boom. They're close together. The things I don't need to visit are maybe further out. The things I don't need to manage are maybe further out.
Yeah.
If we did that with more of our life, with more of our business, we wouldn't be tripping over dollars to chase dimes, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, the organization is definitely really important when you're looking to add to what you've already been doing. Because most people, and this was back to our time management thing, everybody says it's like, I have a million things on the go, or it's not true, because it's not possible.
It's not possible.
But we believe we're busy. We believe we're using all of the time in the day. So the idea of adding something to it is quite daunting. And when you say about organizing your yard or organizing your life, if you are just to move some things around, allocate time better,
yeah,
then all of a sudden you've maybe freed up a whole slot somewhere.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one reason why we put our one sheep pen right here behind the shop. It's right beside the chicken house. I got to go there every day. I got to go here every day. Why would I want to go there and then go over there?
Yeah.
Right. If I could just go to one place every day and do things that are supportive of one another, feed, water, check production, carry on with the day. Right. Makes a lot of sense.
This is mighty fine. This is mighty fine scotch.
What do we got here? Chad's wondering, I wonder if Costco sent some cigars to Pierre. No, I'm sorry, not Costco. Wouldn't that be something? I wonder if Castro sent some cigars to Pierre when Justin was born, or vice versa. I'm pretty confident there was something exchanged there. I don't know if it was tobacco, though. Yeah, isn't that comical? Yeah, so
I was watching a bit of that there down in Ottawa again. Kind of another bit of
is it getting hectic again?
seems to be a more physical protest than it was 2 months ago. Or
Did the bikers show up? I switched the TV off.
I got Justin got me on that TikTok, and it's all on there now. TikTok live.
Oh, is it really?
Right, you can, because you can go live on almost anything. So I'm thumbing through there and you get watching this stuff, and I'm I'm kind of impartial to what's happening down there. I'm not exactly sure what is going on, but there I know.
I don't know how do you dial in that TikTok to find stuff like that? Because
I just swipe up or whatever to the next one.
you just keep going until you find something that's interesting.
Right? If I was to stack an enterprise in the time I'm spending now on TikTok in the evening, I probably would have my well, they're going to sell that Russian's boat for 90 million. It's worth 90 million. Right? They're going to auction that off. So if I had another stacked enterprise, I could probably buy it.
You could probably make a few more bags instead of watching TikTok.
Absolutely.
Buy that boat.
I could.
But if it weren't for that, you wouldn't even know about the boat. So. But don't buy the boat. Borrow money and get the boat. Use somebody else's money to get the boat.
Somebody else's to get
it.
Yeah,
that's how it's done.
Because the next guy might take it from you too.
Don't spend your own money. Always spend the bank's money. So I heard a guy the other day. He said, "I don't own a debit card. I don't let my kids have a debit card. We have credit cards. We spend the bank's money, and we repay the bank instead of spending my own money, and then them charging us to use it." That's an interesting concept.
I've watched that guy.
Chad says, before the internet, my folks used to import bumper pull trailers and horse tack from Kansas in the 90s. Selling them helped pay the mortgage and the farm, but tied into our horse hobby back then. Absolutely it was. Extra enterprise can't be. Yeah, I think they're pre-1995. They might not be fire retardant chairs. You're going to have to be a little...
investigate what happened here.
A little bit more sure of yourself.
I don't want to erupt in flames. They got... Probably made of pure asbestos.
Do you want some water? I get some water.
No, I don't want water. I just don't want to erupt into a fireball.
Better on you than in the whiskey.
Better for ratings, I guess. When you erupt and die, burn my new jacket.
Don't worry, I'm a volunteer fireman. I can help you.
I'm a first aider. Can I help you? Anyways, I think I got it.
You got it. You're good. You're good. It's got a few battle scars already, so.
Well, I don't want.
Just got one more.
I don't want to root.
One more to tell.
I thought it would have orange popsicle all over it, but it doesn't.
No, I mean she loves to come up and sit in the chair, and we read Wind in the Willows. I have 100 and it would be 100. It's a 1905 edition, so whatever that works out to be, 100 and some years old copy of Wind in the Willows that we read, and she eats a popsicle, and it's just kind of a thing we do. And but I'm very particular that she doesn't have sheep shit on her boots or drop popsicle on there, because then that becomes a make work project, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways, where were we? You had mentioned about the requirements for a skill set. Now that's really bugging you, man.
I don't want to start on fire. I don't want to burn a hole in my chair, but it's gone now.
It's gone. It's done. Moment's over.
Fair enough.
We're good until you get
really. It starts getting warm on the
side. Getting hot. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a word of caution. Like time and efficiency has to be matched by skill. Especially with your primary enterprise, before you start adding another, right? Like if you just got 5 or 6 chickens, and then all of a sudden you want to get ducks, and then you want to get a goat, and figure out the chickens first, right? Same with, you probably do see this with grain. You want to get really good at figuring out how a specific crop grows before you take on an additional crop on the farm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate.
That absolutely happens.
Right.
I mean, we actually had quit growing canola because we just wasn't working. And then as we upgraded our machinery, there was a big push towards precision drills, getting that seed depth right, and even plant populations and stuff like that. So it's arguably it made the difference, because we had 2 high yielding canola crops back to back, even last year with the drought.
Yeah,
I mean, canola surprised a lot of people.
that was a
But
miracle.
We did have, and up until that point, we had pretty much had one crop since 2006 when we bought our first air drill. We
Yeah.
basically had one crop from 2006 till 2020 that you could call the decent canola crop.
Mhm.
So we'd
Mhm.
given up. We'd actually shifted over and started growing peas, which is a more forgiving crop, cheaper to raise, and we were having very good luck with that with our older equipment. As seeding depth and stuff is not as important.
Not as critical with
So-
seeds and stuff, right?
So that is absolutely true. And like you had said about chasing over a bunch of dollars to get some dimes, if you're going to spread yourself really thin and start to take away from existing things, be it your actual job that provides you the income, or projects on your farm that have to be done, everything's going to suffer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, that's right. That's right. So to me, like the only thing that's worse than mediocrity is multi-level mediocrity. You know, to be okay at a thing, or to be kind of good at like a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Really, there's that saying that kind of floats around there. The jack of all trades but master of none. And recently, that's gained some popularity because of some folks say, "Well, you got to say the whole quote."
yeah, I was going to say the people that have finished the quote.
Right. Jack of all, but it's so like when they're trying to finish the quote, they're misquoting it. Right. They're saying jack of all trades is better than a master of none. But then it gets into saying, well, it's still better,
But often better than a master.
It's always
of one.
better than a master of one. Well, no, it's oftentimes better than a master of one. But in this particular case, we're talking about business. We're talking about buying groceries. We're talking about what feeds your family.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about competing in a market with a bunch of other, very well educated. They're experts. They're subject matter experts, right? So what's giving you the edge in the market? What's going to give you the advantage? When you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and there's only so many hours in the day, how are you going to get good at what you're doing? Is you have to put in that effort for, maybe not mastering it, but being really good at it, and continuously attempting to improve at it, right? Before you start taking on other stuff, right? So you can't just rest your sentiments on, well, I'm good at a bunch of stuff. In this particular case, if you're dealing with livestock or you're dealing with $300,000 crop in the field, you want to nail that, right? You want to do that as best as you possibly can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, fake it till you make it. Maybe fake it till you make it works when you're 23 and you're living in your mom's basement. But, by the time you're our age and you're feeding kids, and, there's a lot of things that depend on your operational excellence in whatever you're pursuing.
You got real world things to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. You want to quit your job as a barista and open a chain of coffee shops. You've got to get it right, because there's so much competition out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it matters, right? So, and really the third step in the process, and then this is going to feed into all of your notes that you took, is to increase your profit per input. Now, in some cases, that could be profit per acre, that could be profit per animal, that could be profit per product, right? But you want to layer complementary processes or stacking, right? Stacking enterprise. And if you've driven out all your inefficiencies, well, then you can start stacking the enterprise on top that makes use of whatever available time from the efficiency that you've created, or space, or and then consume as much remaining waste as you possibly can, as much as possible. And then hopefully that doesn't create any kind of overburden upon your existing revenue streams, because that's the other side of it. Is now, if I undertake this new venture that I'm not a master of now, is this going to take away from my primary income source? And that's one thing you really got to keep a close eye on. I've joked, and a number of people have joked, well, if you're feeding 25 chickens, you might as well feed 50 chickens. If you're feeding 50, you might as well feed 200. But pretty quickly you realize that no, this is not just, if I'm doing 50, I might as well do 200. because now I need so much more, and it's more than time. It's equipment, it's lighting, it's power bills, it's feed cost, it's
Yeah.
the overhead, the whole theater gets much bigger, right? And if you got the time for it, and you got the energy for it, and the expertise for it, knock yourself out, right?
Yeah, that is one thing I believe is missed quite a bit, is when people think, well, I'll just get more, and there's lots of people that come to the farm with a lot less acres. Some have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 acres, and they think, oh, if only we had this much, or if only we had this equipment or something. And I laugh, because I get it. It looks different, but it's only different when you have that much more. You have that many more tires,
Yeah.
to succumb to the Kirkfeld farm curse.
That's
You
right.
have that many more batteries that are always seem to be dead.
Yeah.
The maintenance skyrockets. The just insurance and taxes and things become county taxes become an issue of just logistically lining this up. You almost need somebody just to do insurance on the vehicles and the machinery and things.
Well, I mean, yeah, suddenly you need an administrative assistant, you need a farmhand, and
it shocked me that the envelope was like this of insurance papers and registrations.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even. I didn't even think we owned that many vehicles. Like, what? Where we're going to put all these papers?
You got a lot of tires in your yard.
There's a lot of tires. There's a lot of tires.
Yeah.
And we don't even have a tire changer, I guess. So
David wants to know, is peas really that forgiving though? It seems that you only got a couple passes to get weed control and disease under control. Well, I tell you, I'm not one to comment on that one.
Disease is an issue. We seed peas and canola together, so weed control is basically not an issue either, because it can't be done.
It's just cover cropping, basically.
Yeah, well, when we seeded Clearfield canola with the peas, you could spray something called Odyssey. Odyssey is a no-no in the peas country because of its potential residue carryover to the next year.
Sure.
Something that we never found to be an issue, or certainly we couldn't manage. It was a good chemical. Since it's hard to get Odyssey, they don't want to sell it. We've shifted to knockoff chemicals and cheaper chemicals that don't do very much. So it basically, you end up with working the ground, letting the weeds come, spraying it with Roundup, then seeding it and hoping it catches right away.
Yeah.
Because the best weed control is an aggressively growing crop.
Yeah.
If you and this is where you lose out in the summer. So we lost out this summer. We actually had things looking fairly well. One thing that you can spray for, one thing we have a problem with is wild oats. You can spray Select and things like that, which you can spray on both canola and peas. So it shouldn't be hard to take care of the wild oats. But when we had no rain coming, the peas, they just couldn't take it. We got that hot blast when the peas were just flowering. And I had seeded the peas at about 3 pounds, the canola just under 1 pound. So there was no competition. And then nothing would kill it. I don't even think I could have sprayed Roundup on it and got it.
Really?
So we let it go, and we did harvest it. And I had done that was in our last live stream, what your most profitable acre. I had explained that actually we generated $300 an acre off of that. It was ugly and it needed to be cleaned and things.
Those are green peas or yellow?
Yeah, they're greens. So, but it was back to, are they forgiving? They're forgiving at seeding time. If you lose them in July and August because of rain or heat, or June, July, they're susceptible for sure. But any crop is, and we can't control the weather, so it's a risky take.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Chad had said, looking over the fence gets a lot of people in trouble. You can only scale up according to your abilities, and abilities take time to develop. Seen a lot of people jump into 200 U's to fail 2 years later. That's 100%. I know I get a lot of conversations from people that asking how we're making out with the farm and wondering how many head of sheep we got now. And oh, we got 2 or 3 more than we had last year, right? We're not trying to blow the doors off and upscale and suddenly have 300-400 because I don't really want to phone the auction mart next year.
No.
So bite off what you can chew, bite off what you can afford, bite off what you have time for, and slowly build your skill set until the two kind of align, I guess, right?
Well, I know there was a big successful farm around Height here. And, my dad, he told me about this. So when he was younger, the dad of that farm or the grandpa, I can't remember which one it was, but he told my dad, he said, just have 10 cows for yourself, not 100 for the bank. And that was the way they operated.
That's a piece of wisdom, hey?
They grew a lot more organically. I don't like to say that because people instantly start to think of growing organic things.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I just mean take your time with things.
It's growing naturally.
You don't need to just run right out and pay absolute top dollar for land 8 miles away because it'll never come up again. And in fact, land was one argument I have with my dad quite a bit. In his lifetime, land was hard to come by. These days, sure, land is selling all the time. It's amazing with CLH Bid, with Ritchie Brothers, with private real estate agents. It's amazing how many for sale signs are getting hammered up all over. It's almost changing like homes.
You got 400 grand, you can do anything you want.
But it's amazing that it's even available. Like he said, back in his day, it really wasn't available. People didn't want to travel anyway, so if it wasn't right across the fence, they didn't even.
No, they didn't want to go there because the tractor only went 7 miles an hour.
Yeah, I guess,
or the mule or whatever they were pulling, right?
That's probably part of it too. Is the fact that now we travel 25 miles. We do that in the blink of an eye. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Whereas before they wouldn't have even. They didn't even know who lived over there, right? And now we farm it.
That's right.
I've wheeled over here with my sprayer.
Chuck that thing in road gear, and you're over here in 10 minutes, right? Tambour Station's on. Howdy, gents, all dressed up tonight. The economy of function is changing faster than we can adapt. At least for me, maybe I should look into troll farming. I'm not sure what troll farming is. Might be a new thing. Hutterites are buying everything up. Yeah. Well, if they have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
They're a giant corporation essentially, right? So they're able to do it. They got the workforce, they got the capital behind them. And they got mouths to feed, so.
Yeah.
Well, that was one down the hatch.
Yeah.
You're kind of nursing that one.
I don't know if any of this
making me look like an alcoholic here.
If anybody watching doesn't know about these cups, if you don't, these are the last 2. So we had 5 sets
in existence. Yeah.
4 are gone. These are the last 2, and they'll be given away to somebody who is participating in the comment section tonight. I don't know what we're going to do going forward. We'll get something, but Kirkfell Farm and Bloom Enterprises cups, those are the last 2. Maybe
the folks at home could provide some feedback. What kind of cool stuff do you think would you be interested in?
Well, we'll have to do a poll, but yeah, whatever you think. That logo, as far as I'm concerned, will look cool on anything.
Yeah, so you get that airbrushed on the hood of your pickup.
Oh, I was quite taken back when I seen the rough drawing that she had sent. I was like, that's going to be pretty tough.
I wish I knew how to share it for the folks that came in later. But if you go to our community pages, on our personal channels, we've been able to share it. That's one thing we didn't right off the get-go. We kind of forgot.
When you start that into account.
When you start a new channel, that you need 500 subscribers to actually do a lot of stuff with you don't even get a community page.
No.
Right. So it's really tough to kind of get the word out. Right. So if you guys are watching, if you like what you're seeing, you're having a good conversation, you're enjoying a scotch, a cigar, whatever your favorite beverage is, or just enjoying the conversation, share the video, tell your friends. We'd love to add more people to the conversation. That's what this is all about. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's engaging people. So.
It's going to be more important than ever with this channel because this channel's not, going forward, it might get some more content, but it's not going to get regular content like our independent channels do.
No, that's right.
We're uploading videos, almost every 3 days, every 7 days, quite frequently. This was going to be dedicated to live streams.
This is the specials, right?
You're going to,
the exclusive events.
It's going to take a bit, but that's fine too.
Yeah. I have to top up a little bit. I have to refuel. It is good. I like it.
Well, I'm glad that ice didn't just melt right away. That was kind of the idea of getting a big
Just gonna stop there. Do you need a little bring you up to the top of the?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. We'll do a bit.
It's looking pretty diluted there, so try not to dump whiskey on the laptop. Oh, I missed a few. Haven't received my cups yet. Good old Canada Post. Yeah, Damon, I did post yours. They should be coming to you. There was, we had to switch up the address there, but they're coming. Tambor Station. Looking forward to a set of cups as well. Fire up the presses. Absolutely. I mentioned her on some other channels today. Hopefully it gains some steam for you guys. No, we really appreciate it. And I mean, of course, we appreciate all you guys to comment, all the folks that come in on what typically would be a Friday night.
Yeah.
We do this one on a Saturday because I was driving back. Somebody has a job and had to go to Calgary for a few days. So I ended up later in Calgary yesterday and then drive 8 hours home and then still had to actually do my actual job. So I was probably till 2 o'clock in the morning working and then up at 6 to do chores here. Had lambs this morning, was chasing around. It was a bit of a fiasco, but home, we can breathe
home
and still, enjoy some good company.
Breathing cigar smoking.
Yeah. So breathe. We're not supposed to inhale the cigar smoke. Remember Bill Clinton said that? I didn't inhale. Wasn't it him that said that? I don't know. Anyways.
They sure do smell good.
Yeah, no, these are really good. These are really good. What else you got?
Well,
how else we can change the world with stacking enterprises?
Well, we've covered figure out if this is even going to work. So then I jotted down some ideas. What was our first live stream was generating passive income on the farm.
Yeah,
and I watched through that a little bit as I do to try to figure out how a guy can get better at this. And one thing I noticed about that live stream was really didn't point at a lot of actual things you could do for passive income. We explained quite a bit of it, but we didn't actually highlight anything. So I spent some time figuring out what things you could do on a farm, on a hobby farm, and you could actually add to your day. And the first thing that I had here was value adding. So I do that with the grain. I grow the grain. I could load that into Super Bees. I could haul it to the elevator. I could go to the beach.
Way you go. Yeah.
About easy money. 7 years ago, I'm trying to figure out exactly how this started. I had some split peas, not enough to make a load to go to Champion or anything like that. Threw an ad on Kijiji. Lady come picked them up. Some guys brought a gravel truck, picked up a load, and went from there. Then they started asking, can you mix, can you blend, can you grind?
Yeah.
You got one here?
Well, Tambor Stations asked, what is the blue thing on the table? I got in late. It's probably already mentioned, busy working on that second or third job. So I don't know if you're speaking about this blue thing right here. This is actually the Union Jack, the flag of my nation, where I come from, the old country. I don't know if there's anything else blue on the table, but
no. But with value adding, I would say this is going to be your most profitable form of stacking an enterprise because it's something you're already doing. It's not going to take a lot of extra investment.
Yeah,
it's just so same with raising animals. You can raise sheep, you can load them in a truck, you can send them right to tow field, you can send them into the small animal sale, and you can get what you can get. Or you can line yourself up with an inspected butcher, or go the other way, sell them direct off your farm,
make a half a dozen phone calls
and have that done.
Yeah.
Those, as I said, I'm sure that will be your most profitable and your least involved, or I guess extra energy involved, because it's something you're already doing and you're just adding to it.
Sure. They're saying actually maybe the humidor looks blue from here, and yeah, it is. I think it's probably the lighting. This is the humidor back here.
Oh, it does look blue.
Keep all the cigars, and of course they got the new microphone set up, and so everything's a little bit different. This right here, this is the microphone that we just added to this. So we had a new camera, a new microphone, just trying to improve the audio video quality for you folks. So make it a little bit easier to watch, I guess.
So other things that I've seen with that, if you want to be a market garden, you want to grow 5 pounds of carrots and throw them in a bag and get $4 or whatever you get, 14, I don't even know. Or you can pick one. You can go the extra mile and get $8 a jar.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. You know, there's a lot of berry U-picks around Alberta. If you got some land and you want to,
you grow it. It's somebody else to do the work.
Get someone else to pick it and drop you off $20 a pail when they leave the gate.
Yeah.
Beef, lamb, any of that stuff you can do with that.
Yeah, I mean, mine probably the favorite. I mean, I'm a big chicken guy, and maybe I'm a broken record when I say that, but for anybody that's an animal producer, if you don't have a set of chickens in the yard, you're probably leaving cash on the table. And maybe it's only a small amount of cash, but the amount of work you really got to put into them, what they can do for you, not just egg production, but meat, very, very efficient meat production. And they can totally consume a massive amount of your waste streams, right? Chicken can forage 40-50% of their diet if they're free ranging at zero cost to you, right? If you have a year like we had in 2017 when we had all the grasshoppers, you pretty much don't even have to feed them, right? The stuff they can do, manure management, the scratch and till manure, work it into the soil, they eat all the bugs, they control flies, they do all this stuff, and they create eggs and they create meat and they do all this stuff for you, right? So pretty effective. There's my pitch on chickens.
That could be a stacked enterprise. You could load all your chickens up and you could drop them off at people's backyards, clean up the spiders. Actually, Corey was just talking about her greenhouse is spider.
Rent a chicken? Could you do that?
Well, she's got a bunch of chicks in her greenhouse. We kind of used it as not a brooder because they weren't that small, but easier to keep them warm in there, keep them away from the big chicks, right?
Starting house, yeah.
And she said, they've been through all her raised beds and scratched away and ate all the spiders and all the.
They're laying chicks.
They're going to be laying chicks.
Yeah, right on.
But that's where they're starting out their life, and she got their little heater in there for them and everything for them to huddle up, and then they spend all day running around, rooting through the raised beds, eating the bugs, and cleaning it up. So that's one thing she won't have to do.
One thing too with the different types of chickens, like if you want a chicken to dig and till and solely focus on soil conservation for you by working in organic material into the soil, the laying hen by far is your number one asset. If you want something to clean up, pest control issue, the meat birds, the Cornish giant. I mean, they're
the little raptors.
They are. They don't move fast, but they work hard, right? Yeah.
So that was my first one, and I think I got about 5 or 6 here, and then so that's value adding whatever you're doing. And another one that I thought was interesting, and you're seeing this with Hascat berries and stuff like that.
From the Aldi's over was it Broken Tine?
Broken Tine, I believe. Yeah. And there was another one out at Wembley, and this area was actually at one point, I believe, going to be like a Saskatoon hub. They really wanted to invest in this. I think one of the shops out of Hythe was actually originally built to be a Saskatoon processing facility.
Really?
And actually, just out by our farm, there's a ton of Saskatoon rows on a quarter that was, they had this big push where they were incentivizing farmers to grow these Saskatoons so they can do this. There used to be a winery, just I think on the other side of the mountain there. What the heck was that called now? That was the furthest north.
I remember it was Saskatoon something winery.
And so there you go. Again, you can raise these Saskatoons up, pick them for yourself, and leave the rest for the birds. That's definitely one option. You can turn that into a U-pick, excuse me. Yeah. You can pick them yourself and invest in a whatever and make wine.
Yeah.
I mean, so
some carboys and some yeast, and away you go.
But one thing I had there too with in doing that, it's going to take something too. And I know I told some people that hadn't canned before, and I'm not a really big canner, although I do can quite a bit. And people were talking, well, I want to get into canning. What do I need? And I told them all, I said, just get a bigger pot.
Yeah.
Because it's a similar effect, and I think people have it I've watched people told me about playing games on their phones, especially gambling games, or if you're spending $5 a spin, it's not as exciting as spending $50,000 a spin.
Sure.
Even if it's totally made up.
Yeah.
But to me, it's totally transferable between. It's not that fun to can 4 jars. It's fun to can 40. If you're gonna if you're gonna do the work, right?
Yeah,
If you're gonna feed
you
5
gotta
chickens,
do
you may as well
all
feed
the work.
50. But with canning and stuff like that, it actually is.
Yeah.
If you're gonna peel carrots and spuds and everything and wash them and can them, you've got all this going, so you may as well have
make a day of it.
25 jars in the pot as opposed to 3.
Yeah, no, that's right. Oh, we missed some. Glenn Gillis says, "Good evening, gents. A little late the event, but here now. My stacked enterprises were making me late. Well, good to know. Folks got some side gigs there." Chad says they rent out chickens to town people in Edmonton. Crazy money. Then they winter them for the people at the farm. I want to say $700 for the summer for 4 hens. $700 for the summer for 4 hens in a coop. Holy man. Holy man. Guy from Dawson's renting out 2 laying hens in small wooden tractor style coops for $100 a month plus setup, takedown.
Oh, wow.
One of my enterprises is bringing me up here this week, and Ajax crapped out. Yeah, well, Ajax, they always sound like somebody's dropping a bag of hammers down a flight of stairs, so I don't think it takes much for them to go sideways. But Chad says, do a little advertising on Kijiji stand. You might be surprised how many people want to watch some chickens scratch for the summer. Yeah, that's interesting. I always kind of thought about the sheep. Always kind of thought that would be the thing, like rent out some sheep to the municipality. And
I know they were doing that with goats.
Eat up the boulevard, and they're probably a little easier to manage, a little easier to look at.
Well, there was where was it? I'm not sure if it was the Peace River but there was a stretch of the riverbank that was totally. I want to say it was Sentence County, and they couldn't get there to pick it or whatever, and they actually sent in goats.
Really?
Yeah, to root it all up. So.
Well,
these options are out there.
You know how I feel about that stuff.
I don't know why you hate it so much. You're an avid grower of it. You're like
you're
like that guy.
I'm pretty much
the foremost expert.
Pretty much an expert at growing it
and producing it.
But you still got one field that's just ruthless, that stuff.
Well, you had that guy spray it one year. I'd blame it on him. He must have missed a bunch.
Well, somebody dug a whole bunch of stuff up and put a pipeline through there.
That's true. Yeah,
rekindled the fire.
Might be hard on the pocketbook to blame them.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So,
yeah, so people just want to reconnect with their agricultural roots. Yeah, isn't that something? I think that's a really good initiative, actually, to get back that backyard chickens in municipalities. And again, at peril of just being a broken record of saying this, but I think backyard chickens in municipalities should be a thing. There was a time when I sat on town council, and I was maybe my thoughts were different than that.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, obviously, I've learned a considerable amount about chickens and what they can actually do, and how much noise they actually make, and how much smell they make if they're managed, or how little smell they make if they're managed properly. And I will say I'll always advocate now for now until eternity for municipal chickens, because that's one way to bring back food accountability, right? A bit of a tangent off from stacking enterprises, but yeah.
Well, important nonetheless.
Yeah, Chad says you just need some goats. Sure, just need some goats. It's going to be a tough sales pitch, I tell you. Goats are the devil. I know lots of people have them. You know, they're easy to come by, and there's a reason for it. I think since we lived here, I don't know, 3 or 4 times you see them walking down the road. I don't even know where they come from. So I've
come from the small animal sale, going back to the small animal sale.
Yeah,
they just know when they're not wanted.
The littlest hobos are just walking home. Yeah,
that's funny.
At least they're not eating something they shouldn't be. Actually, the first year we got sheep. This was funny. First year we got sheep, we had electric fence set up all around the wife's trees and everything, and I had them all penned up. And they stayed in that electric fence. It was just wire, right? It wasn't a netting before we had the net. And yeah, they figured out that if they just didn't touch it with their nose, they could walk right through it. And they ate a whole bunch of the wife's lilac trees and maple trees. And I maybe shouldn't say that out loud, because if I bring it up and she hears it, then I'll be just back in the doghouse again. But yeah. Anyways. Good electric fences. Used to have 1,500 goats grazing brush with the cows. Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, goats are a little bit different because they're a hair species. There's a wool species from a sheep. right? Sheep are a little bit more immune to a strand wire. The netting gets them though. You know, the first year we set up that netting, and they put their head through that net, and they got it all up and around their face and all four corners of the muzzle. And I seen that sheep jump like this high in the air. It was actually, I shouldn't say funny, but it was
educational.
I did laugh. So
Laugh and learn.
mm-hmm. I laughed and they learned. Yeah. Where are we? We're now hour and 10 minutes into it already. Hey, that's something.
An hour and 10?
Do you have any donkeys, Chad? Well, yeah. No, we got a donkey here. We actually used to have 2 donkeys. We got rid of the one because he was.
You didn't need to.
He was he bred the lady there, and then he was a bit aggressive and wasn't really keeping the coyotes at bay, so
okay,
we sent him somewhere else.
So he was just a hay burner at that point.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's not much that isn't a hay burner this year, I tell you.
No,
even the bulls. We got 3 father-in-law's bulls out there, and they smashed a 1,500-pound round bale in like 4 days. And it's like, what are you like? What are you're just eating like the sheep now, or you just take 25% of it and just put it over there? Where I'm not touching that. Like it's broccoli or something, right? But I think it's just one of those years where the feed quality's lower, and we're getting to kind of the end of the winter, and there's little morsels around in the field everywhere, and so they're just like, no, I'm not eating that. But just out of spite, I'm gonna take it out of the feeder and I'm just gonna throw it over the ground and I'm gonna poop on it. You know, because I mean, it's not my wallet, right? So.
Animals are amazing. I moved a bale feeder yesterday, and by the time I got back, because I was gonna fork it up and throw it to the pigs, but by the time I got back, I could not believe the mess left behind, and I thought, why? Like you had to walk over this to crap on it. You have 15 acres.
Yeah.
The pigs just
made a mess.
No, the steers and the horse.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure they watched me take that off, and then go to get. I was gonna get the bucket on the back
Sure.
or just to dump it in for the pigs. I mean, I was just for whatever for them to. So not a big loss. But yeah, by the time I got everything gathered up and I got there, and I was thinking like, well, there's no point now. It's late here, I guess. Why did you have to do that? But they're done.
But the beauty of all that, I mean, you can stack all that, even if the pigs don't chew through it or whatever, you can stack it all up by the chicken house. Back to chickens again. I know.
Oh yeah, the chickens root through.
They will root through that, and they will turn that to dirt, and it'll be the most amazing thing to put in your garden next year. And you'll be able to grow food. There's a stacked enterprise for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had one more that was gaining tremendous traction with the affordability of the equipment required to do it, and that is imprinting and promotional products. So if you are at all artistic, I am not.
I'm not either.
This is something that if you have some time in the evening, there are all sorts of machines. I seen one, I forget what it was even called, and it laser engraved things like iPhone cases and stuff like that.
Like a CNC, but it's got a laser on it.
Effectively. And so I wanted to know what this thing was worth because it was marketed to the everyday consumer. It was marketed to the people.
Interesting.
And it was Victoria. It was $6,000. But I thought, if you're going to dedicate time to this, if you're artistic, if you own the software, the programming to make logos and to do this stuff,
yeah,
it wouldn't take very long to turn this out. You're seeing metal guys making signs. You had
signs. Yeah.
I got a crib board that was made similar. There's any of this stuff. These machines are affordable now, and you can do it. These sublimated cups, for instance, those are Cricut machines, I believe, that print the ink, I guess, and they got the cup squeezes and panini press or whatever it is, to do it onto jackets.
George Foreman grill.
I don't know what all that stuff is called, but you see it quite a bit. That a lot of people are doing this. Their embroidery machines are affordable for people.
Is that right?
Maybe not industrial ones that you're going to see in your massive. At the Nike factory, I guess. But there are ones that are affordable. You see them at kiosks in the mall. They make your hat for you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So if this is, I mean, stuff like this too, I often envy people that can do it because it kind of keeps you out of the out of the barnyard at -40. If this is an enterprise
yeah,
that you're capable of handling.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. Sell the cows in the fall and then just start
hammering out hats,
making
jackets,
custom Carhartts for the poor guys that got to sell out there all winter.
And especially now when you see there's a tremendous shift. I don't even know the numbers, but there's a lot of people that are becoming independent, if you want to call them consultants in their fields and things like that. Lots of people looking for logos. Lots of people. They're actually social media is a huge thing in itself. That was even one that I had on here. But everybody's looking for that for that type of marketing, I guess, or exposure.
Sure. Exposure, yeah.
Right. So I mean, so far we've done on our farm we've done pens, we've done hats, we've done jackets. We had chocolates made one year. I think you got one of those.
Yeah.
We had
and good chocolate too.
That was pretty cool. They put our logo and everything right on it.
Yeah.
We had Contigo cups done. We've had little notebooks done. Quite a bit of stuff done.
See, that's one thing I've never done, actually. I never did that on the farm. Always was a promotional product, was always kind of the fruits of our labor kind of thing for me, right? So if somebody bought a thing, I'd chuck in a bag of sausage or whatever, like lamb sausage for free, or a jar of jam, or a jar of pickled carrots, or something else that was off the farm. And it was just like, it was to set the hook, right?
Absolutely.
That's really what that was, right?
But there's nothing wrong with the packaging of that sausage or the packaging on the jar saying Kirkfell Farm.
Yeah.
So if you can phone up a local imprinter, marketing type individual, whatever you call that stuff, and they can knock you out 200 labels.
I still have not made my soap yet.
We actually, Corey had made labels for our own canning.
Yeah.
And she made the labels.
Nice.
To say the date it was canned, our name and everything else, what's in it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she really enjoys that stuff. So for her, that could be something. I mean, she's busy enough, but that could be something like that type of person could really excel at.
It could totally be, yeah.
If you'll get interested by so that's your startup cost, buy the software, buy the machines that you need to do this. And actually, she made a bunch of cups for a fellow in Westlock that sells some molasses. She made him about 50 coffee mugs.
There's a whole host of people at the farmers market would just lap that stuff up, because that's exactly what they're looking to do, is what sets their product apart from the next producer, right? It's all in how you present it. That's interesting. Get to the last third here, and it gets a little thicker.
It is getting a bit tougher to draw.
A little bit more flavor. Yeah, tougher draw. Actually went out. The cigar went out for the very first time. But
this is, I think, the first one so far that hasn't I haven't had trouble keeping.
You haven't had to relight a whole bunch of times.
So
yeah.
It's also the first one where the ash fell off.
Probably went out a bunch. Yeah, probably went out because it was yapping a whole bunch. But yeah. What are we missing in the comments here? Holy man, we missed lots. Sorry, folks. We just thought we were going to get better at this.
We got onto something.
Crickets cut out in shapes and vinyl, all that promotional stuff. Your wife does a cricket, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. Well, she did these.
Yeah.
She did these.
That's right. There you go. Got to buy some buffalo. She need heavy duty fences. My sister's neighbor raises elk and does quite well. Yeah, I mean, if you got the infrastructure to do it, sure. Right. That's why we always tease people to get into goats and sheep and then build the fence.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, it was a prime. We are a prime example of livestock owners. We'd lived in town, so that was the reason we didn't have them. As soon as we got our house sold and moved onto the farm, that infrastructure existed. I mean, you've been there. There's those lean-tos. There's waters on both sides. Right. It was very well set up. It was a backgrounding facility for up to, I think, 300 head.
Yeah. And
I got looking at it. Now it was decrepit. It was outdated. It was basically 20-some years of total neglect. Nobody even went up there. We never mowed the grass or nothing. So it took a long time to get the rough lumber down and everything. But I got looking at it. It would be a sin not to utilize this in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now there's pigs and there's steers and there's a horse and there's chickens and there's all sorts of things up there. So that was, I guess, a stacked enterprise.
And that's going to be frontage on the new house, right?
Yeah,
It's gonna talk about zones, like that's gonna be prime real estate. Like
it is, yeah,
you
it
know,
is.
Step out your front door and look, and oh yeah, the pigs are doing good, the horse is doing good.
But it's gonna take some work, because I know that's another thing too, and that's the only slight argument I have for people that say, "Oh, you're so lucky; it's all established. The trees are already grown and everything's here." The only problem with that is everything that's here is 40-some years old and hasn't been looked after.
Yeah,
for 30, because nobody lived there. The
That's
old
right.
bachelor lived there, and then so now when we step out, instead of looking at new built anything, it's 40-year-old corrals and lean-tos and things.
that's what we found with our places.
Should they be reconstructed or ripped down? They're right in that.
Our quarter has the neighbor's acreage subdivided out, which is the original. So the corrals that we have are like down the hill and like across the creek. So it's really inconvenient. We use it for obviously as a handling facility when we're bringing in or taking out cattle, spring and fall kind of thing. But yeah, very aged infrastructure, and to pile a bunch of money into it is like, I really don't want to do that, because I've built I reestablished a yard site like whatever 400, 500 yards away, right? So you did go out.
It went out just when I set it down.
There's that one magic spot there where it just was like, nope, not gonna go there. One more comment. Yeah, if you see any more wild goats, give me a call and we can round them up. Is goat wrangling a thing? Yeah, goat wrangling is it? I think you could probably sell tickets to that show. I'd pay money to watch. I wouldn't participate, but I'd watch somebody else have a good time doing it. That's for sure.
I'm about ready to take my band off. Are you allowed
Yeah,
to take the band off this too?
mine just slid right off. Actually, I think it was.
Every time I've done this in the past, it's been a total disaster.
There was debate on whether you could or couldn't do this, but then if you get to a certain point and the heat melts the glue, you can just pop it right off. Some people actually collect these, keep them in a jar.
Stacked enterprise. Between that and the scotch bottles, could be.
Yeah, I mean,
we could split that into retirement.
Instead of picking the bottles, we'll just.
Well, didn't you say that Dalmore empty bottle was worth like $30?
The empty bottle of Dalmore.
Maybe not that one, but
you could market that on eBay for like $35 to $40. Yeah, an empty bottle. Who'd have thought? Unbelievable. Yeah.
So do I got to go into another one? Did you have something else?
I got all my notes.
I only got 3 left. I only got 3 left. 3 ideas. So another one. Now this is going to take. This takes a certain individual. So if you're a mechanic, we see quite a few. This works well on a farm. If you're the kind of person that can be organized enough, disciplined enough, managed well enough, got a decent facility, you can apply your trade directly off the farm.
Work from home. So
you can spend your time in town doing your trade, and you can come home when you can work for the neighbor. The one thing I find with this, and this came up actually recently with a fellow I was talking to, $60-some thousand was his bill at a local shop fixing his tractor. Sign of the times, I don't know. Supply chain is totally in shambles. New equipment is unavailable.
Yeah.
Guy was between a rock and a hard place. Sure. Got cows to feed. Got lots of cows to feed. So what do? Shop around. They're selling 4440s, 1981s. Those aren't even front wheel assists for $39,000, $42,000 in relatively decent shape. $28,000 totally worn out and wrecked.
That's true.
So what do? To buy a new 190 horsepower chore tractor, I guess if you can even find one, you're probably looking at $260,000.
You gotta feed a lot of cows to pay that bill.
So what was kind of shocking was the hourly rate at this shop, and I think it was about $140 an hour at a
This
local.
is in town?
No, that was off the farm.
Really?
And I was a little bit.
But you don't have any municipal taxes to pay. You don't have the lease. You don't have all the
So that's
labor force to pay.
I had wrote down, because this kind of bothered me, and it's a reason why I sell the feed cheaper in bags than town, and by quite a bit, I'm told. I've never price checked because I don't care. I really don't care to know. It basically is what it is.
Sure.
In fact, when I sold the last batch of chicken feed, I actually sold it at a loss. I was selling wheat for like $13.40 a bushel, which I never thought I'd sell it for.
At a
And now
loss
it's
or lower than market value.
Well, now it's $15.07.
Yeah, you're still making money. You're just not making market
Oh
value.
yeah. So not selling it for less than it's worth.
Yeah. Okay.
And I by quite a bit, like $1.50.
You're a hell of a guy.
Well, I've since remedied that because I'm not a saint. However,
but you're not a gouger either. So.
Well, I don't think I am, anyways. So I had it kind of written down in here. Town rates, they're shockingly high, and this was interesting. So I know a guy at Kenworth, and who sort of runs it, and he said, believe it or not, even at their high shop rate, their overhead they make almost nothing. Their shop breaks even between paying taxes, between paying wages. Because I argued with him. I said, how can you justify $140 or $160 an hour shop rate when I know your mechanics are making like $50 an hour at top end? Who's getting the rest of that?
What's the infrastructure?
He said, you have no idea what the taxes are in the city.
Oh, I believe it.
Like tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Be a shocking number, I'm sure.
So then he explained it to me, right? He said, right, you got taxes, wages, benefits, property upkeep. And then this is the unfortunate reality is town has to pay for this. They have to pass this on to the consumer somehow. If you're working off the farm, though, you don't have basically any of that. And when you find out a lot of these off-the-farm businesses, their employees do not have the same benefits.
Well, you still have your mortgage payment. You'll have county taxes, which will be significantly lower than a shop in an industrial park.
Yeah.
You're probably not paying benefits because you probably, if you're working from home and you're off hours, you're already getting benefits from your day job. You're a hot mess.
I am a disaster.
You're a hot mess.
I don't even know where that went.
It just went all over you.
And I thought Charlotte was going to be the end of this chair.
You should start an OnlyFans the way you just get that shit all over you.
All right. Moving on from this. Hopefully nobody saw that. That's the second time I burnt my hand.
I think you got that in
on tape.
HDMI or HD.
But I wanted to say, there was a guy that got feed for me, and I needed my rollers and my roller mill regrooved. And I was talking to this guy explaining my problem, complaining because I do that from time to time. And actually, this guy ended up being a machinist, worked in town. And he said, why don't you take him to town? I said, they won't even talk to you.
Yeah.
If you don't have a PO number and work for an oil company, they just like look at you like you got lobsters coming out of your ears.
Sure.
Unbelievable.
Sure.
So I said, well, what are you even talking about? And I showed him, he said, I could do that. And he said, what's your normal process to get these regrouped? I said, well, I got to take them out. I got to load them up. I got to send them. I believe it was Lethbridge. I think that's where they do this. And they're kind of heavy and awkward. So shipping is tremendous. Ship them to Lethbridge, 4 to 6 weeks to cut them, ship them back.
Yeah.
So I bought a new set at $3,000 for a new set.
Sure.
And he just shook his head. So he took them and he charged me $800. Because he said, what does it cost to regroove them? I said, it's actually pretty cheap to regroove them. It's about $800 or $900. I said, the thing that kills you is the time and the shipping.
Yeah.
Since then, he's built, what has he built? He's done the roller several times. He's rebuilt a bunch of components for my hammer mill shafts and things like that. He did something else I can't even remember now. But that's just one idea of a guy being a machinist, understanding the process, having access to the machines, owning the machines, and being willing to do it. Yeah. So effectively, he made all the shipping. And what's wrong with that? You know, I told him too. I said, I don't expect a deal. I want it done.
Yeah.
So he did a really good job. He did it in 3 days instead of 4 to 8 weeks or whatever the timeline was. Yeah. And picked them up and dropped them off.
That's right. Yeah. Glenn makes a good point here. He just, he says, at-home mechanic, 24-hour a day job. Nobody wants to pay because they think you're doing it from home, and it should be very cheap. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of at-home mechanics that people try to take advantage of, and that's for sure. You know, or they don't want to pay or whatever. They're really slow to pay, or I get paid on Friday. Can I pay you then? Kind of thing. And then he also says running into town for parts gets expensive and time consuming. You might be able to get parts delivered, and that's the other side of it. I mean, if you're way out in the boonies and you're trying to run an at-home mechanic shop, maybe a little less effective than if you're 15 minutes out of town, right? You do have to definitely got to weigh that, right?
That is true.
If you're 45 minutes from town, suddenly that's going to eat your lunch.
That is true. However, in my limited experience of mechanicking on my own stuff, it is amazing how fast things show up. So I needed a hydraulic pump for my tractor, $4,000 at John Deere. Went on All States Ag Parts. Tremendously good site.
Yeah.
If the folks watching are farmers, definitely check that out. $999 American, delivered to my front door. It was here in a week.
Really?
When I phoned John Deere for that same pump, it was in Edmonton. If I wanted to pay machine down rate, they could get it up here the next day, or it would have to come on a stock order, which would be 3 to 5 to 7 to whatever anyways.
Yeah.
So I ordered
well, I remember that with parts for the AGCO, because they wanted 5 weeks for parts to come out of Regina. Like, it's right there. Like, it's just like the next province over. It's not like it's coming out of Hong Kong.
Yeah. Well, and I guess to Glenn's point, the world has gotten so small with the advent of the internet. Like, I talked to one lady on a part, and she said, "Oh, it's 2 weeks away." And I said nothing on the globe is 2 weeks away.
No.
Like, I can get on a plane. I can be in China in 36 hours.
And go get it myself.
I can pick it up and I can come back. And so, I mean, at best, it's 3.5 days away. Right? Now I realize that's an extreme situation of dedicating one whole operation for one thing. But the whole idea of things are hard to get. They are hard. They've been hard to get the last 2 years. That's undeniable.
Yeah, no.
Are they going to be hard to get going forward? Probably for a while. We seem to have settled into this new normal of just letting things be what they are. In fact, we actually had one of our drills list, our seed drills listed, and I mean, it's getting late. It's going to be the first tomorrow. We like to seed our wheat in April if possible. Well, we know that's not happening because I'm sitting
3 inches of snow,
and we don't have anything seeded, so we won't be. And we thought, geez, maybe we better just keep it. Because if one drill goes down,
you might need to go hard with a spare.
We might have to use it. Yeah. What if parts are a week away and we don't start until? I mean, there's been years we haven't started till the 20th of May.
Yeah.
So if you start up on the 21st, 22nd of May, and you have a breakdown in 2022, and the guy on the other end of the phone says it's 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, we don't seed in June. It doesn't make sense for us. Some people seed in June, we don't. So now what do? I guess you just missed the year.
Just take a year off.
So I guess prices were good enough in 2022. It's good enough.
Go on Amazon, buy a backpack, and go to Europe for the summer.
Well, I think I would, but we decided to keep our drill.
Yeah, no, that's good. Smart move. Yeah, if a wife or neighbor works in town, maybe they can pick up parts for a couple bucks. Yeah, I know that's if you've already got business in town, you want to. That's the thing with living rural, right? Is you want to be efficient. If you're not running to town every 5 minutes, right?
Well, there are.
Make it count.
I've seen on the internet there are a few expediting companies that are.
But that's the thing. There's a few that are around here. There's one in Elmworth. There's one out by Demet.
There's one in Height.
One in Height.
They'll pick the stuff up for you.
That's what they do. They make 3 or 4 trips to town every day, and they go get their stuff, and you can bring it out to the county for a small fee. It's actually a pretty good deal. Better use of their time than our time. Boy, I'm really into the heel of this thing.
But it's good. It's getting better.
Getting peppery. Yeah, I'm getting pepper.
What do I got here? I got two left. This one's a bit spaced out, but social media, as far as really anything, when you start to look at content creators that are actually successful, you can generate quite a high revenue stream by doing whatever. It's amazing what people will watch. So if you're good at what you do, and if you're good at editing, and you're good at marketing, and you're good at all of that stuff, in today's world, you know the joke. Well, and I know my mom used to tell my brothers and stuff. No one's ever going to pay you to play Nintendo. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess she didn't know about 2022.
She hadn't read the memo.
Right? So
there's a whole class of people that's what they do. Is Twitch? Is that what it's called? Twitch?
I believe so.
And then there's obviously YouTube, right? People that pay premium, so they'll watch ads or whatever to watch these other people play video games and provide narration or
I guess so.
To tell a story while they play a video game.
When you throw through TikTok, like I had messaged you this, I was scrolling through, stopped at one thing. It was a guy sleeping. 4,000 people watching.
Like
I watched it for about 30 seconds, and I was thinking like, and I was reading,
am I part of the
problem?
I
was reading through the comments, thinking like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Literally, this guy's probably making money sleeping. Yeah. People are watching him, and they're on. I don't understand this part of TikTok, but they send all sorts of gifts. I believe there's a monetary value attached to the gift. But yeah, people are
like the Hunger Games, so they get they send you a prize.
I think so.
Oh man,
I don't think it's a real thing. I think it just goes into your Bitcoin or whatever, PayPal or whatever it is.
Oh, like a Venmo or whatever.
I think it's something like that. But they're sending all these gifts to this person sleeping, and it will probably stick with me forever. 4,000 people watching a guy sleep. You go to the next one, it's somebody cutting a bar of soap with an X-Acto knife. 3,800 people watching.
Because it's just the satisfying.
What was that ASMR that you're talking about?
Yeah. Sure.
Apparently, people like listening to that. 3,800 people watching. This one girl I find absolutely hilarious. I've watched a couple of her things. She owns a hair salon, and she talks about the dialogue between the customer and her.
Sure.
Kind of funny because just a bunch of Karens and her or whatever.
Yeah.
I think she's got like 40 some million people watch her. Like generating actual, like it's a real possibility in 2022.
Yeah. This is one comment here. I watch a guy feed chickens once in a while. Even have my own. I think we're all guilty of that. But yeah.
Well, it seems to be like a societal shift where this is it's a real thing. There's two guys that I watch, and they're butchers. Watch them cut up a side of meat.
Yes.
It's
good.
It's amazing.
Guys too. Yeah, no, it is. They're very skilled at what they do, and
so
it's an art form. Right?
It's funny to joke about the 4,000 people watching somebody sleep. I think that's totally insane. However, I don't think it's that insane to watch somebody explain how to cut up a side of meat.
Yeah, that's right.
And if he's got 23 million followers and 2,800 people an evening watching him and 200,000 likes, he's getting his knives and all this stuff supplied to him. Yeah. Sponsorship deals and stuff. It is actually a real possibility. If you're good at this, you can make it work.
But it now becomes your job, right? That's the thing. Like you're not.
But for the butcher, I mean, he's just stuck his phone up while he's cutting.
Yeah, meat. I mean, he's already. Well, there you go, stacking enterprises, right?
Well, that's why it's on here.
Oh, touche. But no, this is the reality, right? Like Glenn just commented, find the content to keep the viewers coming back, and editing hours make YouTube a full-time job. And he says, well, I was doing daily videos, and how much time does that take? Glenn says, is the Bearded Butchers, is that who you're talking about? I assume that's who you're talking about.
I've watched them, but these ones I were watching on TikTok. They're from Ontario.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so how much time does it take to do a YouTube video? So a 15-minute YouTube video is probably an hour's worth of footage for me, and probably another hour's worth of editing time if I'm quick and efficient, if I didn't have to do much in the way of like outtakes or cleanup or too much chopping. But I mean, you make a video and it could be a 3-hour, 4-hour investment, right? So for the folks that did or have watched the videos from our farm, we used to do daily videos. Don't do that anymore. Why do I not do that anymore? Well, one more kid and a new job, that kind of that's what's paying the groceries is the full-time job. And I got a lot of diapers to buy, It's right now YouTube's not paying me, so
Yeah.
I got mouths to feed, right? So
Well, even this alone took a bit of time because in order to fill, I don't know why we ended up with 2 hours. I guess the first live stream we did was 2 hours and we kind of stuck to that. But to try to fill 2 hours.
yeah, it doesn't have to be 2 hours.
It definitely doesn't.
There's lots of guys who talk for 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, right? But
I think maybe the first cigar you bought, the lady told you this would last 2 hours. That's what it was.
I think that's what it
Or
was.
the guy,
yeah.
you said, I want a cigar that'll last 2 hours.
I think I asked him for a cigar that would last 2 hours.
And
yeah.
So maybe that's where it was.
And then we just had to write enough material to get there.
To fill 2 hours.
Yeah.
But even that, you don't want to, you want to just come in here and be humming and on and looking at each other like who's going to talk next. You want to have some content.
Yeah, it's got to be interesting.
And it takes, I mean, even just researching where the cigars come from, where the scotch comes from. I think I was an hour and a half last night looking up Aberlour.
Yeah, no, I mean that takes time, right? Even the cigars, right? I mean, they're all made in different factories, different parts of the world, different leaves, different processes. Some are machine made, some are handmade. You know, these ones made for Fidel Castro. That's kind of a cool piece, little piece of Canadian history, depending on which narrative you're buying into. But yeah, I'm down to the final bites of this one. Be singeing my mustache here soon. An hour and 41 minutes.
I see there's more people on here anyways.
And that's what we always seen, 9:30, folks kind of pour in.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
They're setting up with a cup of tea and a drink for the evening.
If there's anybody that's in here watching that hasn't commented, leave a comment because these are the last 2 cups for Bloom Enterprises and Kirkville Farm. We only had 5 sets of these made. We've given away 4 sets. This is the 5th set. And the last set, I expect everything going forward will be smoking oak.
I would say
branded.
It would make sense.
I guess not to say that you won't be able to get Bloom Enterprises
tattoos
stuff from my channel.
We get tattoos.
We'll probably get tattoos.
We'll get branded.
I don't know. Well, I've been on fire before. I can handle it.
Just like 5 minutes ago.
I was actually on fire once. That's a story for another time.
A story for another day.
But yeah, these cups, they're pretty cool. These are sublimated glasses, and we're going to give these away. All you got to do is comment. Unfortunately, if you've won a set and you've commented, we won't enter your name again, but we do appreciate you being here, and we'll figure something else out for that.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're watching, you're late to the show and you haven't commented yet, hey, there's Rick Doyer. Rick Doyer's a comment. It's a colleague of mine. Job's cool. Yeah, okay, Rick. We'll see you on Monday. But you can, that's all you got to do. Comment, say, hey, I'm here. We watched the video, having a good time. And we'll enter your name into the draw, and you could win these. I mean, these are right uptown, right? Good.
We might even have to give these away one day.
Heavyweight.
The OGs.
The original? I don't know. I think they got to, if we upgrade, they got to have a special place.
They're going to go on the wall, eh?
I think they'd have to.
You must be tired of washing these by now, because these aren't sublimated. These are
these are vinyl. So I have to hand wash these. So that's the burden of hosting.
Yeah,
I got to do the dishes every time. but no, it's a good thing. Yeah, and for the folks out there that don't have a space like this, we really appreciate you tuning in. Obviously, joining us here. And if you ever aspire to have a space like this, just do it. Just spend the time. Doesn't cost a lot of money. Just a little bit of time, put something together, get some cool pieces, get some, what is that called? Varathane. You can make magic happen, make a really cool atmosphere, place to sit, relax, have a nice drink, have a cigar. This is like in the corner of our shop.
Yeah.
Like if you swung the camera around, it would look entirely different.
You're living a totally different life.
Right. So
you're in a totally different mindset.
Yeah. So
I did have one more, ties into quite a bit that we were talking, was e-commerce, back to the world being a small place. If you got, and I'm going to just touch on it quick here. There's quite a bit of reselling goes on. I don't think that you're a genius because you can go to Ritchie Brothers and buy all the skid steer attachments and then bring them back to your place and list them on Kijiji. I really don't. I don't even like that.
That's just a hustle.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Etsy, things like that. Those are totally online communities of people doing pretty cool stuff. There probably is some reselling on there. I'm not sure.
A little bit.
There's quite a bit of stuff on there. I mean, I know I've gotten some stuff off there. My wife got stuff for her bridesmaids and things like that on there. Yeah. All handmade stuff. Now, maybe not local, but at least the community is a lot bigger with the internet. I mean, so local is what you want to make of it. But so I had something in here. Back to that reselling. I don't think you're a genius because you can buy a sea can full of candles from Indonesia for 3 cents a candle and sell them for $5 on Kijiji or at the farmer's market. I really don't think you're doing anything for anybody. Yeah. I would much rather go online and find beeswax candles made from somebody locally
right up the road
and give them the $7 instead of giving the $5 for the reseller from Indonesia. So e-commerce is if you've got some smaller packaged items, definitely something you could look into doing. If you're artistic and you can make things, all sorts of things. I mean, sky's the limit. I mean, they'll ship anything if someone's willing to. But we see knitting, embroidery, birdhouses. You got all the candle making and stuff like that. There's all this stuff you can do. Keeps you inside in the cold winter. Our winters are very long, as everybody knows. We're actually into about our 4th winter right now. Something you can dedicate a little spot to your house, and you can make all these things, market them as local. And I think just as much as people getting in touch with their agricultural roots, wanting to rent chickens. Yeah, I know a lot of people looking to buy more local things.
Yeah, absolutely. Comments are coming hard and fast here now.
They want those last 2 cups.
Those cups. Oh boy, those cups are hot top. So Rick's wondering, okay, you missed the start. What's the drink choice tonight? So, as is often the case, we're drinking scotch. It is an Aberlour Speyside single malt 12-year Scotch whiskey. So very tasty. It's just like it's kind of like apple juice.
And you were right too. I was looking back here. So what I had burn and I put in brackets stream, right? Because burn is the Aberlour stream. It's not the burn stream.
Aberlour.
The Aberlour stream is where they get all the water for the scotch.
Yeah, there you go. The reason I know that is because of the Battle of Bannockburn. Familiar with that?
No.
Robert the Bruce's victory over the English. Yeah, I think it was 1308. I might be wrong on the year exactly, but basically the end of the Wars of Scottish Independence. And at the Bannockburn, it was kind of a marshy area where there's a stream, the Bannockburn flowed through, and that's how I know that.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the English cavalry charged through. They got mucked down, mired in the mud, and then the Scottish pikemen, they all have spears, and they just went in and just cleaned house, right? And that was the end of Braveheart. If you ever watched Braveheart.
I have.
So I mean, it's the greatest movie of all time.
And I'm gonna watch it again.
Of course,
watch it again.
I have it.
I have done more research into Scotland in the last 2 months than I did research in anything in my whole entire life.
Well, you're a landowner now, though, right?
I am.
You're a Scottish lord.
That was the coolest. I told Stan about this. I got on a website. The Whiskey Exchange, and I'm filling this out. Name, last name, title. Clicked on that. Yeah, Lord was in there.
Yeah,
I can now say that.
Absolutely. I know every time I go back to the UK, that's you book a hotel, and they ask you that: Are you Mr. and Mrs. a doctor or a lord?
Well, I am in fact a lord. Although I did realize apparently shipping alcohol to Canada is real tricky.
That's real tough
to
do.
You almost have to. You have to get a broker.
A broker or have an excise license. Yeah.
So that's because there was some things I was interested in acquiring off of that website, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to. There's got to be somebody in Grand Prairie, a liquor store or whatever, that can do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if we
can
get something.
Do anything if you pay the money.
I'm going to see if we can get something like that set up, because we got a little bit of a thing set up there at Cedar Gems right now. That's the local tobacconist shop where we've gotten quite a few cigars from.
Yeah, there's quite a selection in there.
So
Actually, a colleague of mine got me a cigar the other day. This is kind of a congratulatory thing. And we already had 2 of those ones, but he bought this one. It's a Romeo and Juliet #2. And he'd gone to Cedar Gems and said, like, this guy had a kid. Like, what do you recommend? And so they recommended this one, and he bought it. And then he looked at the name, and he's like, "Whoa, like, don't think too much of Romeo and Juliet. Like, it's not like a romantic thing or anything like that." And it's like, no, it's just the brand, but it's actually a really good cigar. So maybe next time we'll have to have one of those. They're about like a $50 cigar, so they're uptown.
we also got new additions on the way. One of the guys actually that hauls molasses up, he's going to Cuba, so he's gonna do some shopping down there.
Yeah, oh, that's
So
good.
we got this is a 150 cigar humidor.
But
I guess it's not hard to keep it full when you smoke 2 a month.
no, I mean it's just every time you go to town, buy a couple or whatever. And even the whiskey, we got quite a selection. I mean, I don't know, like it's an investment. Like, it's pull all your money out of the stock market and just buy whiskey.
Well, you can do that, right? You can buy casks now, $5,000 or whatever. Invest in them for a barrel,
For a
of
whole
whiskey,
barrel.
right?
You'd have to really enjoy that whiskey, though, hey? Like,
Well, would you? Or like, I guess I didn't look into how many
could you imagine?
750 mils or liters come out of that. But what if you can sell for $200 a bottle?
Well, if you're selling it, then that's a thing. But
Maybe it is a good
I
investment.
mean, if it's for personal use,
Well,
you imagine if you're this far down in a barrel,
We-
it's this
yeah,
tall,
we-
and you're just like, I'm so sick of this. It burns so bad.
I'll be honest with you, it smells like pure gas.
It smells like
But every time I come up here, I just like just amazing from nothing, right? So it's the folks that watched our first live stream to this is what, our 7th or 6th or something. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
This is one.
Pretty cool.
Happy birthday.
transformation.
Happy birthday to Smoking Oak. This is #1. But yeah, it is officially like 6 or 7 for.
Is that Smoking Oak's birthday today?
Well, I mean, it's the official
First live
official
stream?
first live stream. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to find something cool too, and then you can let us know what you think would look cool. Hats, cups.
Let us know what you think. The good subject. What's burning a hole in your brain? What do you want to explore that you think we should debate?
I know. I got a fan favorite, and I think we might have to just stop asking and just cover this the next time.
We just got to talk about famine,
Absolutely. I watched
food shortages.
I watched a guy on TikTok the other day, and he was talking about it too. And the winter wheat crop in the United States, when it was seeded, it was in poor conditions. It's coming up very poor. In fact, that was the reason why wheat went over $15. They expect a total disaster. They're experiencing a lot of the same weather. Montana had 3 feet of snow.
They got all the Manitoba weather.
Manitoba's flooding. In fact, I got a text message from a guy. I made a bag of feed for it. I don't know if this is true or not, but he said he was hearing some of the guys down south are actually stopping seeding because it's so dry already.
Really?
There's a saying, seed in the dust, your bins will bust. I'm not sure I would ever stop seeding, although I'm not down there. I don't know what they're experiencing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to have a perspective on that.
It really is.
Right?
It really is. And if you don't know, and if you're not, like, we were laughing here too. So there's nothing different about what we're experiencing right now. 4 years ago, we started on the 24th of May, I think.
Yeah.
We started seeding.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing for up here in the Peace Country is there's usually enough horsepower per acre that we can get it done in about basically in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With no breakdowns and no
get it in the
supply
ground.
management things.
Yeah.
We can get on the field and we can get going as soon as the weather gets good. I expect we'll probably start seeding on Wednesday. I mean, it's muddy out there right now, but if we get double-digit temperatures,
You get a little bit of wind
Tuesday,
and-
Sunday, it dries up fast.
Yeah.
So we're not in that bad a shape, but
Aren't
apparently,
you looking at did you really have that telehandler up to the axles in mud
I did. Yeah, that was
in your yard?
that was a little different too, right? Taken out of context, people might think like, "Wow, they're flooding too," but we had just built that pad for the shop.
It was right there.
They had just stripped all that
Oh,
last
okay.
fall, and we didn't get any gravel down. We didn't get any compacting down. We didn't get anything down.
That's virgin ground.
It snowed the day he picked up his equipment out of the shop.
Yeah.
So the day he pulled it out, we pulled our stuff in, and it did not quit snowing.
Mm-hmm.
So now all the water's run off of that all year long. And the frost is coming out.
Sure.
It was a foolish thing. However, I needed to get the rotavator out in front of the 4-wheel drive tractor because I need to get the tractor out so I can change the oil in the thing. So when it does drive, we can see. So.
Because you see that thumbnail, and you're like, oh man, quicksand. You know, we don't even get you don't get quicksand here. We had quicksand in the UK. Like it's a legit thing. You know, where you walk along and whoop, and away you go, and then you actually got like arms out, or you're done, kind of thing.
Interesting.
But I wasn't expecting to see that.
No, that dropped right into the site.
It just boom down. I was like, oh, this is where we in Fox Creek right now.
Well, I didn't even realize it from the cab. I was thinking, like, this thing is just so underpowered. And then when I got out, I said, no, I guess so. Fair enough.
Just chewing through that goopy clay. Yeah. What do we got here? We missed a whole bunch of comments again. Folks having calves and lambs, and the cows are almost as brilliant as sheep for trying to kill their babies. Yeah, we've taken a couple losses even here over the last couple day or two. Not sure why. One looked like it got sat on. Another one had its bent right back kind of thing. I think it was maybe either got pneumonia or maybe a mineral deficiency.
Shouldn't be that.
Shouldn't be that. Should not be that. But I mean,
have to talk to that guy.
Well, it's not that it's not available, but I mean, we were talking about sheep. Well, they'll just die because it's Wednesday, and so if they're that dumb, do they even go to the lick tank, right? So
yeah,
we do have a few of them that are pretty special that way.
Well, that is the reality of livestock. I know I've already buried 2.
So you had some bale netting or plastic in the gut?
In the gut of one for sure.
Yeah.
And I know, well, and I was so fortunate to have the people around that I do. So I phoned a cattle buyer, and I was like, what do you think's wrong? Of course, with your smartphones and stuff, you can take videos and pictures.
Yeah.
Sent a pet message to my brother-in-law right away. They have lots of cattle. And then I phoned my neighbor who has a lot of cattle. I have cattle his whole life. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to come over. Because, and that's the thing. Wait, this would be a little bit of a tangent, but there's this whole other side. It's like, you shouldn't own animals. You shouldn't eat animals. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And I see some of them, and I talk to them. And if only they knew how devastating it was to us to lose one. Even for me, there's no way I could raise cattle. I've told all the cattle guys that come now, like watching those 2. Well, the one I found dead, the one died after I found it, and I thought, geez, every day on like a 300 head herd during calving season, or every week, or every what? I don't think I could take
a loss. Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be heartbreaking.
Right? And what the year my daughter was born, we worked up 1,000 acres in the spring.
Yeah.
We left it out all winter, and we worked up. We didn't get it. That was a massive loss. But losing 2 that was steer, I was pretty.
You feel?
But I was just discouraged.
Well, and you take it as a personal failure.
It was. It absolutely was. Because I mean, I hadn't been up there all the time, and because he said you should cut this one open. He said I know what's wrong with it. You should cut it open.
Yeah.
And I did, and I sent him a picture, and I phoned actually his son, and he's like, yeah, well, that'll do it. I mean, because I was wondering even where it come from.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
and the garbage is blowing in and blowing here and there and everywhere.
Nick had said, if you have livestock, you most likely you're going to have to go with dead stock. Yeah, it's the thing. It doesn't make it easier, but, for as much as agriculture is an industry, it's not like other industries where it's exploitation based, right?
Well, and you had explained it really well on your video talking about what you can get in the Loop program and the disturbing reality that is the consumer expectation to what they see on the shelf and what they demand.
The consumer demand is an industry base, right? And that's really where the industrial factory farming side of it comes in. And then there is a whole thing about the I guess the evils of commercial farming.
Mm-hmm. Well, you and I have talked about that several times. Versus small scale. I shouldn't say small scale necessarily. There's a lot of large farms that still is a fairly decent culture of animal husbandry that takes place. I know lots of dairy farmers, 300, 400, 500 cows.
They know every one of those cows' number. They know their personality. They know everything about them. They know how many gallons of milk they're going to put out. They know how much feed you got to have. They know every calf they've ever had. So it's not that every commercial farmer's doing that, but it's what the consumer does to those side of the industries in regards to demand that diminishes what the producer can do for that animal, right? And for me, I don't know. To me, it's always been about stewardship of the land. It's always been about animal husbandry, and at the end of the year in the fall or whatever butchering day is, that's a gift, right? And it should be a day of humility, not necessarily a day of celebration, right? It's not about a paycheck. It's about giving the animal the best possible life, and then returning that same gift back around to give your family the best possible food, nutrient dense food that you can give, right? And of course, taking care of the land at the same time. Not about, it's not a coal mine, right? It's not about exploitation. So, what do you got there? Ontario farmer joined us there. How's everybody doing? It's got to be late there.
It is.
Man. What are they? 3-4 hours behind us?
Well, what time is it there? Yeah, they had popped in last time, and I didn't. It didn't occur to me that it was quite a bit later there.
Yeah. Obviously, Jeremy said, you get over it after a while. Well, I would say that there comes a time, and we've come to this, where maybe you reconcile yourself to it in terms you understand that taking losses does occur.
Mm-hmm.
But I know even myself now, we've been into it for a few years, and I can say, okay, well, yeah, losses occur, and I've looked at year-over-year mortality rates. Okay, well, I'm taking this percentage. And then the math, you can kind of justify the math. Well, I took this many losses this year, and now this year took this many, and is that better or worse or whatever? But ultimately, if I see something that's not looking really good, and I'm trying to do a thing, and I still take the loss, I can't release that burden. I still feel that burden. I still, what did I not do for that animal? What did I miss? Because they're family. I mean, they're not obviously family like we have in the house, but they're still an integral part of our operation. They're everything that I want, all the lessons I want my kids to learn, the values that we have, is all linked to the livestock and the land. So.
Well, there is definitely something that you're able to accept it easier. I mean, I had said something in a video once that with a grain farming that you don't. It's not that you enjoy it anymore. You learn to deal with making bad decisions. It was on the grain farming side, right? It's not that you're excited about something bad happening. You just learn to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some folks. There are some folks on YouTube that clickbait the shit out of this, right?
Oh yes.
We took a death, and it's just like this. There's $1 million, again, exploitation, right? But try not to do that. But Chad says, the loss sucks. The great ability of the livestock producers to shake it off and continue to care for the rest. And that's one thing for the folks at home that don't know, but some of you do know, I'm involved in the fire service. And so Ladder 49 is one of maybe the second greatest movie of all time after Braveheart. The Highlanders up there too. But anyways, at the end of that movie, one of the guys passes away. He's caught in a fire and he passed away. And the captain says the best thing we can do in memory of that guy is to get out there and get back on the truck. I'm good, thank you. And go and answer the calls the next day. And it's the same with the animals, right? You take a loss, but that doesn't, there's no time to mourn. There's no time to grieve. The best thing you can do is get back in the tractor, open the gates, get out, feed your animals, take care of your animals, and forge ahead. Right? You can't dwell on the mistakes of yesterday. All you can do is learn the lessons and do better tomorrow. So. And then Jeremy's out. His phone's dying. So it's 12:01 in Ontario.
12:01.
12:04 now, of course. But
wow.
Yeah,
well, that's dedication. We definitely appreciate you tuning in here for a bit.
Yeah.
Long enough to get your name in the draw for sure.
So next time we're going to talk about famine. That's the consensus.
Well, I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll pull together. Well, I think we will. Yeah, I don't need to do a poll. I want to talk about
we got to talk about it. Popular vote aside, there's important things that need to be said.
It's funny. It's been a close second both times.
It has.
It just
been
hasn't.
Right there. It's been like a majority government.
And I wonder, it's the kind of the crowd the community that we're talking with. I mean, I think everybody probably understands it. There's probably they're very well aware of what's going on.
The folks we're talking to are part of the solution.
So, right. I mean, would it, something like this might bring an idea to somebody like, oh yeah, no, I do know how to make candles, and maybe I could do that, right? Whereas everybody I think that watches this understands there is a real possibility that you will see famine somewhere on the planet Earth in 2023.
Yeah.
I
think about the toilet paper shortage. That's what really gets me, because I mean, I'm old enough, and I'm sure you are too, that our parents legitimately didn't have toilet paper growing up. It wasn't even a thing.
My dad didn't get power till he was 9 years old.
Catalogs, my dad growing up in the UK. I mean, they had running water and television and everything, because it was very well developed. The UK was an advanced, developed country, whereas at that point in time, Canada was still a developing nation, and has grown exponentially, thanks largely in part to the growth of the United States. But still, we've had a pretty blessed upbringing here.
Oh, absolutely.
But as little as 40 years ago, they didn't even have toilet paper, and here 2 years ago, you couldn't get it for a while.
It was funny.
It was absolute chaos, and
my dad and I kind of had that conversation. Right, he'll be 70 in September, and he kind of shrugged it off and laughed at it. He said that it's amazing these people don't know that you can exist without these things.
Yeah, but can you?
Well, I guess certain people can.
Sears isn't a thing anymore, right? I mean, it closed in Grand Prairie, but it's done, right?
I believe it's done.
It's done. And any department store that's out there, they don't have catalog anymore. It's all online. So start farming rabbits, I guess, little fluffy creatures. I don't know what you're gonna do. Or grow a lot of rhubarb. So
yeah,
it's gonna be an interesting time. So
absolutely.
Yeah. What are we at for time here now? 2:07. I think we're
time to wrap it up.
I think we're there, hey? I don't even know how to shut this one down. What do we?
Yeah, we normally climb up and click the cancel button.
We scramble and try, but.
So, anyways, take your last minute there. If you're watching and you haven't had a comment in, get one in. Make sure you get your name in the draw. Last 2 cups up for grabs. And then you'll be, if you're the proud winner of those 2, you'll have one of the OG 5 sets.
Yeah.
Because going forward, it's going to be something else.
The last set in circulation.
There might actually be something in the works already.
You got something up your sleeve?
I think so. I think it's already in production.
Are you, spoiler alert? You're not going to tell me, are you?
No.
You're not going to tell me.
No, I'm not going to tell anybody.
It's top secret.
But I think there might be something already in the works.
There's a thing. So definitely going to want to tune into the next one.
You're going to want to watch.
There you go. So, okay, so I'm going to push some buttons here. I'm
going to burn my fingers with the
burn
last little bit of this.
Burn your fingers, and we're going to see if we can.
New subscriber too.
You're subscribed. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, if you're watching, you haven't subscribed.
Smokes, that's hot.
That's good. Okay, we're going to try and see what we can do here. Good night, everybody.